Joining us today is Marvin Herrera of Freedman Seating in Chicago.
I had a very weird career path. You know, once I needed a job and got into welding, I was just like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It took a while to see the steps of where it can take me. But yeah, I kind of had to, build that roadmap. And now teaching, I do that with students. It's taken me to a lot of cool places. Even here, there are places I never expected to be. A lot of doors opened up and, I just jump right in.
Manufacturing Day is your chance to see what modern manufacturing is all about. On the first Friday in October, companies across the country open their doors, on-site and online, to inspire the next generation of makers. From high-tech equipment demos to hands-on activities, it's a behind-the-scenes look at the careers shaping our future. Find an event near you or host your own at mfgday.com and be a part of something big. And now, back to the episode.
Hello, welcome to this episode of the Fabricator Podcast. I am Dan Davis with the Fabricator, and you are?
Lincoln Bruner with the Tube and Pipe Journal and the Fabricator as well.
Joining us today is Marvin Herrera of Freedman Seating in Chicago. Marvin's, he's done almost everything when it comes to welding.
Oh, my goodness.
Teaches at Triton College.
Yeah, teacher, supervisor, inspector, educator.
And lifelong learner.
Yeah, and welder. That's where it all started, and it's pretty interesting tale, as he describes it. It's not a linear story. It's one with many different curves and weaves.
Yeah.
So
kind of like we were saying, the poster boy of kind of getting into this industry later in life. I guess late 20s, does that count as later in life?
A little bit.
But he kind of backed into it just because he's such a curious person. He's like, yeah, why not? Let's try this.
Yeah, it's worked out well.
Yeah.
And now he pulled up in a Rivian truck.
Yeah, which really impressed us because we were talking, they make it down in Normal, Illinois. So it's, I think, literally Illinois' only auto manufacturer. They used to be in the old Mitsubishi facility down there.
Yeah.
But he's kind of educating us on that particular ride, and Lincoln compared it to a
AMC Eagle,
not so famous automobile.
Yeah.
Oh, the new R3 that's coming out.
That's
next
fair.
year.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't compare a new Rivian. Apparently, Rivian's coming out with a hatchback model called the R3, and that inspired Lincoln to make the comparison to the AMC Eagle of yore.
Which bears also a certain stylistic resemblance to the Subaru Outback, which I'm very fond of.
Yeah, I've actually seen Subaru Outback jacked up a little bit like that.
Yeah,
and it's a pretty impressive vehicle. I'm not sure we should be mass producing them, but hey, on a limited basis, why not?
Hey, well, if Rivian's ready to take the plunge on the R3 with those stylings, I mean, I'm all for it because you've got an affordable all electric that looks like it's going to hold up under a lot of different conditions.
Yeah,
Nice.
And you can get Marvin that referral.
That's right.
Bonus.
Right.
That's right. $600 apparently.
Yeah. And just a shout out to the Rivian folks. Marvin, please offer him a tour. He's as he described it, unpaid spokesperson.
Slash
that wasn't
ambassador.
exactly his word. Yeah.
An unemployed employee.
That was the phrase that pays. Yeah. So reach out to that young man and get him down there.
Yeah. He's got all the time in the world to.
Oh, yeah. Apparently he's got no time.
Yeah. There'll be a 2-hour window coming up in maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
But you'll enjoy this episode. Stick around, and thank you for listening and watching this episode that is not sponsored by any of the companies we've previously mentioned. Thank you.
It's almost time to celebrate manufacturing's most outstanding contributors at the annual SparkForce Awards Gala. This fun and exciting evening supports the next generation of manufacturers by raising funds for scholarships and educational programs. Help build tomorrow's skilled workforce by attending or participating in the online silent auction. Bid on artwork and other unique items throughout the evening from anywhere. Get all the details at sparkforce.org. And now, back to the episode.
Welcome back to the Fabricator Podcast. Today's guest, I think we're going to have a good conversation. Marvin Herrera of Freedman Seating Company in Chicago. We're going to talk a little bit about everything because I think you're involved in a lot
little
of
bit of
things.
Different things.
Can you give our audience an idea of who you are and how you got to the position you're in now at Freedman? You're a welding engineer there now.
Yep. So I had a very weird career path. I do robotics. So like when I give like robot talks, I use a robot term like a move J because it uses all the joints instead of like a linear
Right.
motion. So it wasn't linear. I had all different types of jobs. I worked in restaurants. I managed a restaurant, pizzeria out of high school. Then I went to manage a bank downtown.
Wow.
But I always started at the bottom, worked my way up. I got laid off, and then I was 26 at the time, and I was looking for my next step. What should I do? And my father-in-law told me, I could get you a job at the Tootsie Roll factory, being
wow.
a maintenance mechanic, making, 28 in a union. I was like, oh, that sounds great. I was making, who knows, $10, $12 maybe
Yeah.
at the time. And so, yeah, he told me go take some classes at Daily College. We have a partnership with them. Take some classes, and I could get you a job. So the next day, I just called my job, quit. I was actually in a manager position to go to be a manager at Jewel Osco
Oh, wow.
in Chicago. And so, yeah, I called. I said, I'm not coming back. I'm sorry. I enrolled in school to be a full-time student. I had some little bit of savings. So I enrolled full-time. This was 2013. And I took every class that Daily College offered in their manufacturing program. And welding was just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And after the first class, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, this is cool. But my mind wasn't like, you're going to be a welder or you could be a welder. I was just, testing the waters of different things. But I went to Fab Tech that year, and I met with a woman that worked for 3M. I talked to her. I saw a lot of people with free stuff. I was like, how do I get free stuff? So my thing was like, I'll go talk to them and ask them, where can I buy it, in hopes, somebody's like, oh, here's, you don't have to go buy it. Here's some
Right.
stuff. So I spoke to her. It was like 5 o'clock, nearing the last day of Fab Tech. And she's like, oh, just go to your local welding supply. They'll give you a helmet. It's like, okay. And as I was walking away, she's like, oh, actually, come back. And she took one off the shelf and gave it to me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Thank you. I started walking away. She's like, no, come back. Give me that. I gave it back to her, and I was like, oh, is she taking it back? She went in the bag, grabbed one out of the box, like a brand new one in the box, and gave it to me. And she's like, put it to good use.
Wow.
And I was like, all right, I will. So I was on the
This is awesome.
yeah, I was on the train ride home just holding it like I won the lottery. I was like, and then I looked it up, and it was like MSRP, like almost $500. So I was like just hugging it like, nobody better rob me right now.
No one's getting this.
Yeah, so I got home, and I took it to my welding class, and my teacher's like, oh, she would give us extra credit for going to Fab Tech.
Hmm.
So I
okay.
showed it to her, and she's like, okay, you get extra credit. And I finished that class, and that was just one semester of I just took intro to welding. So after that class, I kind of blew through my savings, and I was like, okay, now I need a job.
Yeah.
And I just happened to apply at Freedman. That was like, what's in Chicago? What's close to home? And I applied. They're like, oh, yeah, come in for an interview. We're going to give you a little welding test, weld some, T-joint, lap joint, circular welds. I was like, okay, I got this. Practice at school. And then I went, and I probably, if I would grade myself, I probably got like a C-
Hmm.
on that welding test. And I knew it because I burned through some plates, and I was like, oh, man, I blew it. And I went to the manager that interviewed me, and I was like, if you give me a chance, I'll work for free. Like, you could keep my first paycheck, but I'll work for free because I know I could get better. And then he just smacked me in the back, and he's like, no, you got the job. Don't worry about it. It's like, oh,
I do
cool.
like the no paycheck thing.
Yeah. So, and then I was like, okay, cool. Like, now I'm a welder. But little did I know, I'm barely starting, my welding career. So I'm going on 11 years there. I started as a welder, did that for 4 years. And like I said, I like to work from the bottom, learn
Mhm.
everything, and move on up. But as a welder, I was happy. I was like, I'll be a, dirty welder for the rest of my life, and I don't care. Like, I love this stuff. But they approached me 4 years into being a welder, and they're like, hey, do really good and your quality's good, you know, you have good relationships with people. Have you ever thought about being a supervisor? It's like, I've done manager work in other places, like at a bank, restaurant, but I didn't think about, you know, where, you know, welding could, you know, be my next step. They're like, yeah, think about it. At first I told them no. I was like, nah, I don't think so. And then a week later, they approached me again. They're like, are you sure? I was like, okay, I'll take the position. It was a second shift position. And I did that for about a year. Really liked it. But family changes and stuff like
Right.
that. I wanted to go back to school. So I wanted to go back into first shift. A position opened up for welding, for working with manufacturing engineering. And they needed a welding technician with my background and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm going to apply. And I applied and they gave me the position. I worked under a welding engineer at the time for about a year and a half before he just up and quit. He's like, hey, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I'm not going to be here in 2 weeks. It's like, oh, okay. So once he left, a lot of that responsibility fell on me. I learned some from him, some from other people on the floor, and just like, I'm kind of like a welding nerd, so I'm always like reading the magazines, looking at the podcast videos, Arc Junkies, and welding tips and tricks, and this and that ever since I like got into welding. So a lot of that responsibility fell on me, and they're like, you know, Marvin, are you up for it? I was like, yeah, sure. I had gone back to school to do my bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to school on the weekends, every other weekend through SIU, Southern Illinois University, doing like an off-campus program.
Go Salukis.
And yeah, I graduated within a year and a half, got my bachelor's. Once I got that, they're like, okay, you got the welding engineer title. And right after graduation, I jumped into the CWI.
Oh, wow.
So I was already studying for it, but I paid to take it, you know, within 6 months. So I did that. Did the seminar for a week at Moraine Valley. Moraine? Yeah.
Moraine Valley, yeah.
Mm-hmm. With Jim Greer. I love Jim Greer. I love his stories. And yeah, so it was graduation, CWI. You know, I got the promotion. So that's where I'm at now, welding engineer.
Welding's been pretty good for you.
Yep. Done a lot of talks. I did in Ohio State University. They invited me to talk for the welding automation conference.
Okay, yeah.
Doug Ruda invited me. Shout out to Doug. Thank you.
Yeah.
Vectus. Yeah, so it's taken me to a lot of cool places, a lot of things. Even here, there are places I never expected to be. A lot of doors opened up, and you know, I just jump right in.
Yeah. Anywhere along the way that you're surprised you stuck with welding as long as you did?
No, I mean, ever since that first class and that teacher that kind of like sparked my interest in it, CJ Sikora at Daly College, thank you. Ever since that class, she did such a great job at getting us interested in this, in welding. And then, you know, once I needed a job and got into welding, I was just like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. It took a while to see the steps of where it can take me, and that's kind of like nobody really told me anything or how to do it. I never met a welder before in my life, growing up in Chicago and the areas that I lived. But yeah, I kind of had to, you know, build that roadmap, and now teaching, I do that with students. You know, I give them an example of, you know, the route that I took and what's possible.
You do that as adjunct faculty?
I do it adjunct faculty at Triton College.
Okay. Yeah.
I did.
Triton, yeah.
Yeah. So I did
Just
5 years.
south for people not aware.
Yeah, River Grove.
Yeah. Illinois, just south
So I
Chicago.
went back to teach at Daly 2-3 years into welding. My teacher boss at the time asked me, have you ever thought about teaching? I was like, no, never. I'm not the type of person. I'm not very, you know, I'm not a public speaker. But she said, oh, you'll be fine. You know, just come in. I'll be there your first day. I'll help you out. It's like, okay, I'll do it. So I showed up to the first day of class. It's like, okay, like she's going to do most of the work. I'm just going to kind of shadow. She's like, hi, I'm CJ Sikora. This is Marvin, your new teacher. This is welding about what she gave like a 5-minute speech, and she's like, okay, see you later. And I was like, what?
Take it away.
Thanks for helping me out here.
Yeah, so it was nerve-wracking at first, but I mean, it's what I love to do. It's what I love to read about, what I love to, you know, talk about, so it just came kind of natural. And I would just, I just started teaching this next semester at Triton on, so I've been there about 2 years, but the semester just started last week. And I just start talking and talking, and I go into tangents, and my students know, like, I tell them, like, we're going to go over the syllabus, but let me show you this cool thing. And I just start showing them things, and then we're like talking about other things besides the syllabus. But yeah, I go on tangents, and like, I just want to get people excited because I'm excited about it. And I just start thinking about different things, and this comes in my mind, and this type of welding. So I like to get them excited, the first few classes, but I just talk, and I'm just spewing information. I know by the end they're like, what did he say? But
were we talking about welding before?
What's a T-join? What's a
I'm a firm
GMAW
believer that
this?
kids at that age are going to look at you no matter what like that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you say. They're just going to be like, what is this dude
You might as
say?
well have fun doing it.
But we do
Yeah.
have like a mix of, all different people, all different walks of life, all different age
Yeah.
groups. So you have somebody, older than me that's just wanting to learn how to, fix something at
Mhm.
home or just like make something at home. So yeah, we get all different types of people.
Marvin, you talked about previous to this, your time in restaurants and your, Jewel Osco, whatever. You seem to be one of those people that has an honest desire to learn everything right away when you
Mhm.
get into a work environment. Kind of one of the questions that kind of popped in my head was, when you're talking to students about starting off, just getting their feet wet in this, is that something that you talk to them about? Is like learn everything you can right away? I mean, it's as much as you can right away, because that's what I did. Is that one of the
I
things?
tell them it depends on your learning style.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Like I like to get in there, and I won't learn everything right away. I know it's a process. You got to put in your time.
Mhm.
But get in there and learn what you need to learn to do your job, and then start asking people questions. Ask somebody a question over here, ask somebody a question over there. This engineer comes and just ask them a few questions, like, "Oh, why do we do this?" or "How'd you do that?"
Mhm.
So, not to be like a pesky employee, but like learn your job, do it good, and then
Mhm.
ask people questions. Like as a welder, in my department, we were 5 welders,
Mhm.
and they had been there at the time 10 plus years. One individual that I work with today was kind of who showed me the ropes when I got there. Enrique, he has now been there over 25 years at the company.
Wow.
So when I started as a welder, he would come over and would show me a few things like, oh, try this, try that. This is how you clean your machine. Nobody taught us that in school,
Right.
which now I tell my students how to clean their machines. But they're like, this is how you clean your machine. If this is happening, it could be this. So started like troubleshooting stuff.
Mhm.
So he gave me a lot of information, just basic welder information. And then I would go see how somebody else was welding and like, oh, why do you do that? And then somebody else like pumping out a lot of work, like, why is your machine so high? Like in school, they tell me, put your machine at, for this gauge steel, it should be between these values. Like, oh, nobody ever told me that, but that's how I do it. And I'm like, oh,
Mm.
okay. So I would ask questions, throughout the day just to better myself. And that's what I tell students. I like pull like different styles from people, different techniques, and like kind of just blend them to make, what I like to do and how I want to do it.
What's changed since you've got started in welding that's kind of made the job a little bit easier in your eyes? I hate to say it, but you've been at it 10 plus years now, so
Yeah.
you get the veteran question.
What's changed at the beginning, and this is what I tell students, like all these terms, all this knowledge, like stuff that I'm saying, you're not going to have no idea what it is. And then working under a welding engineer, he would say things and I still didn't know like a lot of the terminology, a lot of the science behind it. Then going and taking the CWI test, a lot of studying, you have to learn a lot. So just learning as much as possible has helped me, and it makes you see welding in a different mindset. So yeah, like shifting focus and like what you learn and how you learn it.
At Freedman in particular, I mean, you working for a well-established company, been around since late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
What benefit has that been to you in your career, working for a really well-established company with, a couple hundred employees?
Ooh, we were pre-pandemic close to 1,000. It was like 900. Now we're
Really?
around like 700.
Okay, I had the number wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
So
but
it's
yes, 700.
and I think it's close. They just acquired like the whole building, so now it's getting close to like 700,000 square feet.
Wow.
So yeah, very established. They've moved from locations in Chicago, but they've been there, I believe, since late 1998 or so.
Okay.
Where we're at now. We were just acquired by Lippert Components. They're in Goshen, so we are
Right there
now
in Indiana.
Freedman by Lippert, yeah. And just them being established, I mean, this was the first factory that I had walked into.
Really? That's pretty amazing.
My dad he works in Aurora for a hard chroming factory. So growing up, I was like, I don't want to work in a factory. Like I see how tired and, dirty and smelly my dad is. I'll never do it, but here I am today.
Shout
But,
out to Dad.
But yeah, like once I walked in there and then like going to FabTech and then going there for an interview, like I saw like the technology that they had in there. So being very well established, they spend money to make money. They have really cool technology. The main thing for me in my career is they have robots. They have Yaskawa Motoman robots. We have about 13 of them.
Oh, wow.
With dual arms, with carousels, with multi-axis positioners. So having technology like that helped me a ton. So once I got into the engineering side, part of my job was adjusting, making new programs, deciding what's going to get automated, what isn't, what's feasible, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and learning a program. I mean, that's the biggest thing, like learning to program these robots. I mean, they got so much new technology. We just bought two tube lasers that like $1.5 million, super cool technology. And I don't know anywhere in Chicago, or there's got to be some places, but like that has so much technology under one roof. Like that's just like the metalwork. We do like all the fabric cutting. There's CNC fabric cutters, CNC plasma lasers, tube lasers. Yeah. Cobots.
Wow.
So a lot of cool technology. And yeah, when I give tours of the plant, I tell people, like, this is like kind of like playing video games. Like I'm just having fun. Like I put on music and I program these robots and it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
I'm just like programming robots, or if I have to train somebody, it's kind of like teaching, I have that background. So yeah, a lot of cool technology under one roof.
Does being a welder help you with the work with the robots?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, a ton of people say, the best programmers are going to be welders because they understand, speed, contact to work distance, how far you should be away from the workpiece.
All the different factors that go into making
a program and making a, dropping those good welds and, having that mindset of, okay, if I have this piece on a table, how would I weld it?
Yeah.
So that just goes right into robotics and when you're making a program.
What type of work are your manual welders working on at Freedman?
So the robots do a lot of the small things, small parts, even though kind of lately I've been pushing them to weld bigger parts, especially like during COVID, there's shortage, the employees weren't coming to work. We were shut down. We never actually shut down, but, with all the uncertainty, we went from like 900 employees to like 600 or 500. I can't remember, but yeah. So a lot of the robots do like those small parts that go into like a bigger part. So that's what welders are doing. They're doing like the more intricate parts, and that's what I tell them. Especially with like robotics and getting the buy-in from welders on the floor. I'm like, I'm gonna move this to a robot because all you're doing is just 1,000+ circles every day, and that can't be good. Like I like to use my brain a little bit more, and maybe you like to too. So, yeah, a lot of those just like repetitive parts that are super high volume. You just take them off from being manual welded, and the welder can focus on the bigger picture because our weldments could have like anywhere from 2 to 15 like sub weldments that go all together to make like a seat base or a seat back or a wall mount, how you're going to mount the seat to the side of a bus or train. So yeah, a lot of sub weldments. So a lot of that stuff gets automated.
What do you find is the biggest challenge for you as a supervisor right now, either in showing or training, hiring? I mean, what's the biggest thing for you right now, being sort of in a management position for an established company?
Finding good talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of schools, but it's so hard to like focus on all the different types of things that, welding is just so broad. There's so many things you can do, Focus on pipe welding, but we do nothing. We do no pipe welding, so it's cool that you could stick weld, pipe all around, but we're not gonna do that, and we're MIG welding. So finding good talent, quality, just right out the gate from schools, because I think I would say upwards of 80 to 85% of new applicants are just fresh out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, yeah, especially, I don't know if it's just in Chicago. I mean, we're all experiencing, labor shortages, welder shortages. But yeah, I think that's like the talent pool is pretty diminished.
When you say good talent, what are some qualities you're looking for when you think of somebody with good talent that you can use?
I mean, it goes from like the soft skills, how you talk. I mean, I have people show up with like AirPods and like their headphones. It's like this younger generation. I don't want to sound too old or too young, but like,
welcome to our club.
but yeah, I have young people show up with like AirPods, and I guess it's part of the daily life now, and I'm just like, well, when you come into an interview, and I'll tell them, you got to be professional, take your AirPod off. Yeah, skills like that, I mean, that's not even a skill, it's just common courtesy, but
Yeah.
skills are like you show up on time, how you treat people, to, just welding the test plates I give you. It's a simple test, 4 joints. And if I see you're doing something wrong, I'll give you some advice and see if you can make that switch. Do you take that advice? Do you not take it? So, because if you don't take it, that just means you're not coachable. And that's like that's like the red flag right there. Just boop.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to, like I said, in school, they show you a whole bunch of different things. You probably didn't learn how to MIG weld, 3/16-inch plate steel. I'm just giving you a little advice. And if you don't take it, it's not going to come out good, or you're not going to be, coachable on the floor. Things like that.
Yeah.
What did you get out of your CWI studies?
It allows me to really go at bat for Freedman. Setting up, WPSs, stuff like that I didn't really know how to do before. But also, we have customers that say, I don't like that. Okay, why don't you like that? I don't know. I'm like, okay, cite it in the code where it says, you can't have that little divot at the end of the weld. And then so I've done, so I'll like cut and etch parts and look at them and send them out to somebody else. I sent out parts to Jim Greer, just have like a third set of eyes on it. Like, hey, Jim, cut this up. Can you tell me if you see anything? He's like, no, I don't see anything. I'm like, okay. So things like that, where it's like just all the knowledge that comes with it, you're able to, defend or go at bat for your company. And, because if not, we would have to rework a ton of stuff.
Is that something Freedman typically had? Was a CWI?
They've never had a CWI. Yeah, I was the
wow.
first one. So I
That's
pitched it
awesome.
to them. I was like, so I just went to school. So I'm in this mindset of,
Right.
learning and like taking tests. So I was like, and as a welder, you hear the CWI and you're like, wow, like that's pretty cool. Like I wish I could one day take it, but I never thought I would take it. But when I had the opportunity, I pitched it to them and they were like, oh yeah, it does make sense. We've never had a CWI. We were getting into a lot more stainless steel, like rail car train jobs. And yeah, they backed me up and I passed it the first time, which
Oh, congratulations.
I was super scared of doing.
Well,
Like, it's a lot of money, and then it's like, I don't know, you Google this stuff, and they're like 40% passing rate for first-time test takers, and I'm like, ugh.
Well, getting
But-
certified is never a skate in the park. right?
Yeah.
So do you think you mentioned you took a class to kind of prep you? Did you think that really helped?
Oh, yeah.
Because people see. I think that CWI tends to be like the first thing they think of in terms of maybe career progression, and maybe that makes sense. But as you describe, it's like, it's intense. And you got to prepare for it. You want to make sure you do your best, at least on the first try.
Yeah.
So what advice would you have for somebody maybe considering
help
that
me-
CWI?
What helped me was I was teaching already for about 3-4 years, so I was always, going over some of the like general welding knowledge, but the seminars that they offer, like you're spending a week to 2. I think now they do 2 weeks, just because even 1 week wasn't enough.
Wow.
So I did like a Monday through Thursday, and then Friday was like the practical kind of where you're messing with the plastic test samples. But yeah, those seminars, Jim Greer loves telling stories, and he'll tell you a lot of stories, but all the information you get, how to like tab your book, how to tab your code book, the D1.1, if that's what you're taking, how to navigate that, because everything is just about navigating the code book. Like
Right.
you're not expected to memorize, a book like that thick. It's just how to navigate it. So when you're taking the test and they ask you a question, like picking certain words, putting them together in your head and being, okay, that's for inspection, or no, that's for fabrication, because they all have similar things and how they word it, but it's like pulling certain words and how to get the answer quickly, because the test is open book, at least part C is open book, and just, yeah, so that's most of how the seminar goes. They teach you go through the whole book, how to tab it, how to get to stuff quickly, but yeah, it gets you in the mindset of how to navigate the book.
Yeah.
And then the plastic samples, I mean, I thought that was really hard, like the test. It's around 60 questions, but you're like inspecting all these plastic samples, and then they give you fake code books that you have to, you're saying why is it passable or acceptable, or why are you going to reject it? So they give you 2: accepted because A, accepted because B, or rejected because A, or rejected because B. So yeah, you got to do it really fast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah. And then the general welding knowledge, because I had been teaching, that kind of already helped. That one I studied for the least, and I did pass it with like a 92%, so it was good. But it is 150 questions of all different welding processes, heat treatment, and yada yada, like so much post heat, preheat, and cooling down phase. Like it gets intense.
Yeah, no, it seems like you're still using those skills today, it sounds like.
Some of it,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I wish, like I'm in all like the forums reading like so people have some really, I would say my job is more like, it's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. But people are like, oh, we're building this bridge, or we're like underground, or we're doing this and that. I'm like, oh man, that sounds cool. Or they're like, yeah, like the stuff, like we're building seats, and yeah, they have to be really good
I was about to
quality,
say,
and we
there's a little
make
bit of pressure there,
you don't want
too.
to fall. Yeah, you don't want to sit on a seat and it just breaks.
I've seen speed.
Wait.
Yes, all buses should operate correctly.
Look at this. Marvin
fan of
Herrera
that.
made this seat. Look at that. I'm going to call him.
But yeah, the seminars help a lot. I mean, just listening to podcasts and reading magazines, all that stuff gets you prepared for anything to do in welding quality, welding inspection.
What's the harder job, being a everyday welder or doing what you're doing now?
They both have their thing,
Okay.
Like sometimes I have days where I'm like, oh, I wish I was just under the hood and just welding. Like, and I'll go do it. Like sometimes I'm like, I need to just blow off some steam. I'll go on the floor, all geared up, and pick a table, and I'm like, hey, let me weld a few, and I'll stand there for like an hour just welding production parts. Also, so I don't lose, my skills.
Right.
But teaching helps that as well, because I'm teaching, but I like to hit the floor sometimes, just blow off some steam, or just like I need some quiet time and let me go weld. But on really hot days, and I'm walking the factory, and I'm like, oh man, it sucks to be a welder today.
I'll wave to you guys from the air conditioned office.
Oh, no air conditioners, so it gets
No.
hot up there, and you're in full PPE.
Yeah.
And
Oof.
yeah, welders have a good way of keeping cool sometimes. I've seen some funny things, but
Like what?
I've seen bags of ice around the neck.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if that's safe, buddy. Like, don't do that.
But it works.
I mean, once it turns into water, I don't think that's too safe.
Right.
Yeah, just those new fans that
Yeah.
you could
the
just
neck
put around your
fans.
neck. They do that, but I'm like,
You work with any guys that put lettuce on their head before they put the
Oh.
welding cap on? You used to see that, like, I swear, like
Lettuce.
Major League ball players.
really?
Like, like back in the day when they had the artificial turf.
Uh-huh.
They
Oh,
put, like
yeah.
a piece of like refrigerated iceberg lettuce on their head.
I'll look into that.
I don't know if this is widespread or not. Garrett's up there looking for a picture of some baseball player.
I've seen this before, but
okay, it's not totally out.
Like
I don't know if
Warren
it's caught on.
Cromartie of the Expos, maybe.
Yeah.
Cabbage, not so much. Lettuce.
Yeah.
He's gotta have the lettuce.
That's the name iceberg.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, everything has, one day it's one thing, one day it's another. Like
Yeah.
How's the I don't want to call it a training program, but I remember you kind of describing your initial welding test at Freedman.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, no, you got the job. We're going to take you.
Yeah.
And how do you go from what you did on that welding test to actually kind of being in that welder position for like 4 years, I think, before you took your next step toward more management type of work?
So they kind of just throw you into production.
Do you have to correct your mistakes?
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean, I still do that to this day. I'm like, something gets, rejected. All right, who was the welder? Have them fix it,
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't always happen, but
Right.
ideally that's what you want to happen because they know what they messed up on. They won't hopefully do it again. But yeah, starting, I knew I wasn't a welder yet. I had a welding job.
Yeah.
Now the real fun started. So, like I said, the gentleman that helped me, it was just always learning how to get better. Always, I think Jason Becker, the other podcast, he says, make your next weld better than your last. And I always had that in my head, like, how am I going to make my next one better? And it's never like, I don't feel good today. This one's not going to be so good. I was like, no, like, all of them are going to be good.
Right.
Sometimes I'll walk the floor and I'll ask somebody like, oh, how's it going? He's like, oh, yeah. Like yesterday, for example, it was a welder. So we have like tiers. So beginner welder, intermediate welder, advanced welder. So we went from beginner to intermediate, and I checked up on him, and he said, oh, yeah, I'm doing good. I was like, how the welds doing? He's like, they're good. Probably not all of them, but for the most part. And I was like, why not all of them?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, sometimes, makes excuses. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'm looking, and yeah, they're all pretty good, but there's little hiccups here and there. But yeah, I try to tell them, always strive to get better. Your next shift, you should always be better. There's always things to learn. And I would see like these robots, how they would weld, and I'm like, I want to weld like that, like see those just nice, clean, straight stringers. I'm like, I want to do that. So that's kind of what I strive for, and kind of what I just did every day. Sometimes we would have like little welding competitions in our department of 5.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, everybody weld the same piece, and we'll see who welds it better. Nicer looking welds. Whoever has, the worst ones, they got to bring coffee the next day.
Okay. All right.
So that's kind of like, even just as a welder, I was like, how are we going to bring, I would maybe subconsciously, but I was like, this is kind of fun. We're having, a good time at work, but how are we going to make, the work, better quality? Not just mine, but of others too.
Speaking of quality, I mean, you talk about, bringing people in. You got the beginners, you got the intermediate people. How do you keep impressing the tenets of high quality and continuous improvement on people as a supervisor?
So I'm kind of in a weird in between like production and engineering.
Okay.
But just like I said, I go out there, put the hood on with them, and like weld. And if they're having problems with something, they're like, oh, this weld is, especially for a beginner, like, how am I going to weld, this weld here? And I'm like, oh, let me show you, throw on my gear, and kind of like just show them firsthand.
There's demonstration. Is a lot of it.
So they're still getting dirty. I still enjoy it. But it's me, Enrique, which is my welding technician, and then we just hired another welding engineer. So we're kind of like you said, I do a lot. I'm, engineering. So I'm looking at blueprints. We're doing print reviews. We're welding new prototypes of new seats. We're doing HR. We're doing the hiring. We're training. So and then we're doing the robots. And like, do we have an issue over here? They just, hey, Marvin, we got a welding problem. Come over here. So training is a big one. And I constantly try to get into it. Like, I would love to have, a dedicated trainer that's, I could just be like, focus on training, just stop with everybody, at least once a day, especially like the new welders, just constantly go around and just help out.
Yeah.
So I do that with Enrique. I'm like, if we have a new welder, I'm like, just every week, for each day that week, just go check up on them, see how
Ride
they're
this
doing.
kid hard. No.
No, he's super nice.
Yeah.
He's super nice and he's very knowledgeable. So he's not a teacher, but he has a lot of those qualities where he's understanding. So I love to send him out there, and if it's not me, it's him. When we have time to go with those new welders and just show them different techniques, how to weld certain parts if they're having issues with it. Just to make sure that they know that somebody's looking out for them, or somebody's thinking of them.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's your take? Let me ask this first. How many cobot welding systems do you have?
We have 4.
And what are you what applications are you using them for?
So those are these cobots. I'm kind of pushing them to,
Yeah.
because we have a whole fixture department that makes all the fixtures. So I've been welding, big parts that are like a whole seat base on them, which is not a traditional part you would see on there. But because we have fixtures, I'm like, oh, we'll just put the fixture on the table, and the operator just puts the parts in, and then the cobot welds them. But they're welding similar parts to the traditional robots. And for us, because we were running out of space, we didn't have room to buy new welding cells, like new traditionally enclosed robot cells. So in 2019, I went to FabTech, saw these, and reached out to Vectus, and we bought our first Vectus cobot in 2019. Just a small footprint. Yeah, the movements are slower because it allows for people to work right next to it, but the welding quality, the precision, everything's still there. So yeah, we've been welding just
so it's
anywhere
doing
from
work that otherwise might work its way toward a bigger industrial robot cell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so the presentations that I've given at the expo, and I talked last year at FabTech in Orlando, I show pictures of, these fixtures on the cobots, and, people are really interested, and they always ask me questions about the fixtures, because robots are cool, but you'd have to have a really good fixture, accurate fixture to hold all the parts precise each single time. Because robots are smart, but they're dumb. They're going to go to each time wherever you tell them. And you have to have a really good fixture.
So is the fixture department doing those as well? And are those kind of machined, or
they're
they set up on a
machines.
So these fixtures are kept.
Yeah.
Then
We have, for every single part we have in house, we have a fixture.
How many
machined aluminum. 2019 we logged all the fixtures.
Yeah.
So it's 4 or 5 years old, but at that time we logged like 1,200 fixtures, or close to 1,200.
Wow, that's a lot of storage space.
Yeah, some were super old that we got rid of. So in the whole factory, probably right now have like around 900 fixtures.
Oh wow!
How many different parts are you producing for all the different kind of seats you guys make?
I can't even tell you.
Yeah,
and there's new ones every single day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right now the prints have like they have 6 digits.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And you're doing like.
I'd say.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, doing materials of all types. Aluminum.
Yep. Carbon steel, aluminum, stainless, and we do everything to the raw material. So like that's why we have tube lasers and flat lasers and press brakes, a blast room, all the welding. We do the fabric. So we do everything in house except like plastics, or like painting. We have that outsourced. Obviously, there's things that we buy to go into all these parts, but yeah, for the most part, we do everything in house.
Yeah. Did you do tube laser cutting before you got the tube laser?
Yeah, they've always had a tube laser.
Okay, I got you.
Well,
I'm not too familiar with those machines. I mean, I see them. My manager is the one that programs it and handles all that, but from what I knew, we had like an old, like they were calling it a unicorn. Like people would come to Chicago like for FabTech, and they're like, "Oh, we hear you got that." I'm not sure if I should say the name Altamar, but they're you have that old Altamar machine still running, and like, "Oh yeah, we still have it running," and they would want to come see.
I think that's kind of cool in a way.
But yeah, so they always had a tube laser, but prior to that, they were cutting, just cold sawing,
Yep.
drilling, and
Sure.
so yeah, it's pretty cool to see like the new processes and how it goes about, cutting all these features in a tube
Yeah.
or a flat plate of steel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tell us about your relationship. Do you work with the Jane Addams?
Mm-hmm.
What's the R stand for?
Resource Corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah, JARC. Yeah, so they currently rent our second floor of one of our buildings.
Oh, okay.
They have mostly welding there, and then they're in Ravenswood. They just opened up a new facility in Austin, kind of like 10 minutes from us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we have a good relationship with them. We do like company tours where we do a joint, so I'll show them around our facility, and then they'll take them up to their JARC facility up on the second floor, kind of give them a tour there. But yeah, we get a ton of welders from there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's basically introducing the world of manufacturing to people who are perhaps looking for a
Mhm.
career.
Yeah, we've done a lot of high school student tours
Sure.
recently to, spark that interest. And then a lot of people that are juniors, seniors that are about to graduate,
Yeah.
JARC, they offer free training in welding and machining, and then you get a job at Freedman. So
Mm.
Oh, wow.
it's a nice pipeline.
Yeah. So do you find that younger people are a little bit more aware of what manufacturing might have to offer? Or are they kind of like you in the sense that,
I think they're
you know,
still, at least at least from what I see in my area, they still don't have a clue too much.
right.
Because they come in these tours and they're like, okay, they look kind of bored, and she's like, all right, we're gonna go see some welding, get ready, and they still like, okay, whatever. And then I'm like, just like students, I try to just spark their interest, and then just go right to the robots. Look at this robot, and they're like, oh, cool. So and then they start seeing everything, and like the lasers and like the welders, and then so yeah, that's a big,
Mhm.
super cool thing that we do that I enjoy doing, just showing, anywhere from companies to students. Sometimes I'll just have a random person just like, hey, somebody gave me your phone number. Can you give me a tour? And I don't know if I should be saying this, but yeah, I'll give you.
You know what? If they've made it this far into the podcast, they've earned that
Yeah.
information.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, I'll be like, yeah, come in this day and we'll do like a, half-hour tour.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a good relationship with JARC and with other schools, other organizations.
But I mean, I guess it's a great example of how, things have evolved for companies to find,
Mm-hmm.
that new talent. And, from the standpoint of showing those, the students, the automation end of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not really a gimmick. It really is kind of where welding's going.
Yeah.
Do you see it as that, as being, a way of trying to keep up with productivity in the absence of like people, entering the field in large numbers?
Think so. Yes, it is gonna help. I really wish, as a welder, that more people got into welding and like
Mhm.
manual welding, because I love it, and we are gonna always need welders, but
Mhm.
there is a shortage. We're already experiencing it, and it could most likely will get worse in the future. And those young people aren't getting into welding as much. And speaking from my experience, my dad worked in a factory, and I didn't want to do that work, but also I didn't know anything about welding
Mm.
or just any factories, like kind of like bad
Mhm.
ideas about factories
Yeah.
and being dirty and nasty and blue collar work. But nowadays it's not like that. Maybe it was at one point.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
now factories are clean, really good opportunities. But yeah, the automation is going to alleviate. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but
Right.
it is going to alleviate in the future a lot of the welding shortages and things like that.
What needs to be done in your opinion? I mean, you've been working at this for multiple years now. As an industry professional, kind of looking at this from the inside, what
Mhm.
needs to be done to get people into this field?
That's a big question, but from my experience living in Chicago, it's cool that some high schools have, some programs, mechanic or welding, machine shop, wood shop, but a lot of those have gone away.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it needs to start from even younger age, first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade, like elementary school, like get exposed to, working in a manufacturing setting or just exposing them to, all these different job types that you can go into, blue collar work.
Yeah.
Because by high school, yeah, it's cool, but you might not, it's hard to, they're dealing with a lot. High schoolers they're thinking about college already and what's the next step, but introducing from a young age, because, yeah, when I got into welding, I mean, even taking the class or like enrolling in the class, I was like, I don't know anything about welding.
Right.
But once you get into it, then you're like, oh, like all this stuff is welded all around us. But nobody ever told me or nobody ever showed me. I took photo in high school, by the way, which was cool. I learned how to process film and in the darkroom. But like if I would have taken like metal shop, like probably, I would have had that spark.
Yeah, you can't work at Photomat anymore.
Nope.
Did your high school have like a welding class?
I think they did have a metal shop, and then some of those it's like super hard to get into.
Right.
Like, you apply for
They get
it.
overwhelmed pretty quickly.
Did
But
you
at
try
the
to
time,
apply?
also, I didn't even know about it.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, yeah,
okay.
like I would see it after a while, but like they were like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" Like you have to pick like your freshman year. I'm like, ugh,
Well, I mean,
photo sounds cool.
it's amazing how relevant your story is, even though it was about 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Artificial intelligence is coming in and wiping out like entry level white collar positions.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what happens 20 years ago when everybody retires and there's Herbie the robot gonna step in for them. I don't know.
Right.
But people are having to look at alternatives,
Mhm.
and I think you use the phrase blue collar, working with your hands, whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a viable alternative for
Yep.
some people out there. And I think the way you
Right.
describe it
Right.
is not necessarily what it once was.
Mhm.
You've had to pursue further education to kind of keep with all the stuff that's being asked of you. So I mean, that's indicative of a changing job. It's
Mhm.
not the same job.
Yeah, it's
Well, yeah,
totally
you're talking
different.
about younger kids getting exposed to this. I mean, by the time you get to high school, you've kind of made up your mind about what's
Mhm.
cool and what's not,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's probably true that kids that age need to be at least shown what it really is,
Mhm.
rather than just kind of trying to get it to them by osmosis. But one of
Mhm.
the things that kind of intrigues me about your experience is the curiosity you came to things with. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering if, how do you keep that going? It's one of the things I wonder a lot about sometimes. How do you make a young person curious about the
Yeah.
world when all they're getting is just all the information is
Mhm.
fed to them, right? But
Student loans.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not gonna have student loans.
but I mean, what's one of the things that you've most enjoyed, just at a basic level, about welding, about working with your hands, about
Mhm.
getting into this field that you never foresaw yourself getting into?
I think, and that goes to like for young kids, like you can make art basic,
Mhm.
like kids take art class. You could introduce like, art welding class. So
Sure.
I know some organizations like Nuts, Bolts, Thingamajigs,
Yep.
or
Now known
so
as
they
Spark Force. Yeah.
Spark, yeah, they do cool programs with, I believe they're in elementary school, if I'm not mistaken,
They have
or
some
high school as
maybe
Late
middle
well.
elementary,
school.
mostly junior
Yeah.
high.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spark
Um,
Force is operated out of this building too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See.
Oh, cool.
There
There
Yeah.
you go.
Beam me up,
Cool,
Scotty.
full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, having programs like that. But yeah, that curiosity is, I don't know if you could teach that, but having starting off with art
Hmm.
and having that, like I've always enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Like I skateboard, I call it like my art form. It's like a art form and exercise.
Yeah.
Keeps me, moving. But I got into it because also like once I thought about welding, I was like, I can make sculptures, I can make a desk, I can make a bookcase, so part of my class, in my classroom, we do art, we do projects, but the final project is something that they come up with or that they want to do to take home and be proud of, because I always think, people like to argue is welding an art.
Mm.
I think it is. Other people don't. But I think it's at its base, it's an art form.
Mm.
And, there's a lot of people that make a living off their art and sculptures. And
Oh yeah. We've had them right where you're sitting.
you just had Ray Ripple.
Yeah.
shout out Ray Ripple, but like that's just an example, one example of many of where you can take it. And young kids, I think that artistic curiosity, something in there. I don't have the right answer, but I think something to do with art and exposing younger kids to that would definitely spark that interest.
That's a good thought.
Yeah. Has your relationship with your dad changed? Not changed, but do y'all have different conversations than maybe y'all had before you got into
Oh
welding?
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's been there. He's 75. He started there when he was, I don't know, in his mid-20s. So he's been there over 40
No
years.
kidding.
And
Wow.
he retired during COVID, and he took a year off. And then after, he was like, I'm bored. I'm going back to work. They called me. They offered me an extra $1 raise. I'm going to go back. I was like, okay. But his job, he explains it like, before it was like rough. You had to do more
Yeah.
manual labor. Like they're getting like really long tubes and beams and, finishing it with like a hard chrome, like a chrome finish. But now he's like, it's super easy. Like the machine just takes it from point A to point B, and I'm just there to push the button. And if something goes wrong, I just raise my hand. Maintenance comes out and
Yeah.
looks at it. So, so that's why he went back to work too. He's like, yeah, this is easy.
Yeah. I love that he almost like coaxed you into a maintenance path.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole other pathway in manufacturing that actually I think pays off pretty well for those that might want to stick with it.
Yeah.
and
Oh
go
yeah.
that route.
Yeah. So
You've
my,
got-
my stepdad still works at Tootsie Roll. My dad, he works in Aurora in hard
Oh, okay,
chroming.
I gotcha.
So I had both of them, and
Mhm.
I was like, yeah. Like I saw my dad. I mean, it was Monday through Friday, 10 hours, and then Saturday, 8 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm like, those are long days. I don't know if factory job is the way to go. But yeah, and then my stepdad mentioned, being in the union and being, in getting paid really good. I was like, yeah, that sounds better.
Right.
But yeah, I have conversations with my dad all the time about, my work, and from his standpoint, I'm sure he sees it like this is like super cool technology and
Yeah.
blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I tell him like, I show him pictures like, oh, look at what I programmed. He's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Probably thinks I'm a super genius or something.
Just let him think that. It's
Yeah.
fine. Don't tell him different.
That's awesome.
We won't.
You want to add anything?
Yeah, you're talking about like the art aspect of working with metal. Do you get to do that outside of your day-to-day job at all?
I do a little bit at school with the students, like I said, but I don't have a lot of time right now. No
Yeah.
spare time.
Yeah.
Like I was like ever since I got the job in welding, 2 years later I started working part-time as a teacher, and then I was still in school that whole time, so I was working full-time, working part-time, a couple days a night, and then still going to school,
Oh wow.
taking 2-3 classes to finish my associates.
Wow.
After that, I took a break of a year and a half, and then I went back to get my bachelor's. The whole time I was still teaching, so working
Wow.
full-time. So yeah, now I work at Freedman. I teach 1 day a week, sometimes 2 times, but I'm like, I'll just teach one day a week, one class. But I have kids and house and
A Rivian.
a Rivian that I got to take out and go camping all the time. So, but yeah, I do have 3 years ago I opened up an LLC for a side business, and in hopes to grow it. It's been slowly growing, but
Yeah. Takes time.
It takes time and a lot of time to dedicate. Like I said, I don't have as much time, but I do like some weld inspections for Chicago Women in Trades in Chicago. So I inspect their welds when the cohort's done at the 3-4 months.
Nice.
As far as art, I haven't made a piece of art in a while. I mean, I fabricate some stuff
Sure.
at work, oh, we need a guard to protect this or like a
Yeah.
barrier or something, but nothing I would call like art that I would
Right.
have it displayed at my house.
Man, you know what? I get that. I mean, just
Yeah.
to do that, you do it all during the day and you want to come home. And people who do that are really in love with that skill set.
I don't have a garage, so that's the other thing.
Oh, right.
So like I said, I live in an apartment, a condo, and if I had a garage, just like walk back there and, burn some metal, make something, then I would do it. But
Yeah.
Probably
Maybe it's a
good
good thing
therapy.
you don't. You
Yeah,
can
no, I
actually can.
spend
It's kind
all
of hard
my
to put a
time in
fume
there.
hood in the dining room.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't remember the last thing I made. Yeah, so like in school, like if students are working on something, I'll like pull away and just
Yeah.
try to make something. I made like a metal crown out of scrap for my wife, but now it's my daughter's. um,
That's how
yeah, just out
royalty
of
works.
scrap that I like to look at metal, especially scrap, and like, oh, what can I make with that?
Mm.
So like little circular things that the tube laser drops off from burning circles. Like, oh, I can make like a snake with that. So that was one of the sculptures I made. Like a feathered serpent I was taking an art class. So with welding, I was like, that was a prerequisite. So it was an art class, art history, and we had to make something. So I was like, oh, I'll make something out of metal. And I made like a serpent, almost looking like this, but I added like some feathers to it. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I wish I had more time to dedicate to
Awesome. Well,
Sounds
you're
like
a
you
busy
already-
these
man.
projects. Yeah,
You're a busy guy.
Sounds like you have ideas though.
yeah, I had a lot of ideas.
That's cool.
It's not enough time.
Amen
Never
to-
enough time.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Marvin.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
guy
having
has
me.
a great perspective on
A lot of things.
Yeah, no, it's good because I think, as when you were younger, you really had no idea A, about welding, B, like where it could take you. And it seems like it's there's a lot of paths that you've yourself have taken. So maybe
Yeah.
others might find some inspiration in that.
And these podcasts and videos and talks like just help because I was pretty lonely in the welding world here in Chicago. I'm like, none of my friends do anything that I'm doing. So who the heck am I going to talk to about, like welding and making stuff? And like, so I'd listen to all the podcasts I still do and, read the magazines and like, that
That's
just
awesome.
keeps me, motivated to learn more and just hear people's stories because
Yeah.
people have so many stories. Like I said, like Jim would just go on tangents about like different job sites he was on and just like go deep. And I'm like, you live like a super cool life, like with all these jobs you had. But yeah, like all, hearing people's stories and like what's out there for young people or anybody that wants to get into welding, all these, talks really spark something in people.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks again. Thanks for joining us on this episode. If you have any comments, complaints, criticisms, send them to podcast@fmamfg.org. And we'll see you soon. Thank you and goodbye.
The Fabricator Podcast is a production of Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, located in Elgin, Illinois. The show is hosted by Dan Davis and the staff of FMA Communications. The podcast is produced by Gareth Slager and recorded and edited by Griffin Hammond and Dana Weicker. Sales support provided by Andy Flando. Additional production support by Elizabeth Gavin, Mike Owens, Billy Kolpa, Pat Simon, Brandon Geyer, and me, Sarah Spring. Email us at podcast@fmamfg.org. Thank you for listening.
I don't need any more emails in my inbox.